Hey guys, how you doing? In this video I'm going to show you how to make up a Cat5 cable, i.e. an Ethernet cable. Now one may ask, what is an Ethernet cable or a Cat5 cable? Now in your house somewhere you may have one of these cables. These cables technically sit in the back of a device such as a PlayStation, an Xbox, or any kind of device that has internet connectivity, also your TV as well. And that gives it a hardwired connection so that it can go to your router. Why may you use this is that you may have a room in your house that has really poor Wi-Fi signals that you can't get to, or you may be a gamer that wants consistent connectivity to the internet. So one end would go to the back of the device, or the other end may go to either a switch, an Ethernet switch, or the router itself, which I've covered in another video. With this cable, the one I'm showing you, this is a 5-meter Ethernet cable. It comes made from the factory, the supplier, and it comes ready made. So you don't have to do anything, you just plug and play. These are molded together, so you can't take them apart. The only way to kind of actually get it out of anything is to cut it, and that makes it a little bit useless. But that's where we come in today, and we're going to terminate the end. So on my lovely table here, what have I got? I've got two different side cutters. Side cutters are basically wire cutters. These are usually used by electricians and they're really sharp, very good for cutting precise cuts. This one here, it does exactly the same job, it's just two different types. Again, you don't have to use the same ones, you can use different ones, but these ones kind of is good because it gives it that sharp, precise cut. Over here, as you can see, these are the Ethernet cable. For demonstration purposes, I've made them short so I can show you both ends. Again, you'll see, I'm not sure if you can actually see in the camera without a focus, but you've got different color combinations in here, which we'll show you afterwards. So I've got a few here just to test out on. Over here, this device here is a cable stripper. Now, this comes in many different variations. It doesn't have to be the same one that you're going to be using. Again, this one does different types of cables and different types of cuts as well. Again, you'll see on the internet there's so many different variations, but they all kind of do the same job. This monster looking device here, this is a tool. It's called an Ethernet crimper, basically RJ45 crimper. So do you remember I showed you the Ethernet cable, the actual ready-made one? So imagine this one here, okay, this plastic bit is exactly the same as that. So technically when we make up the cable, this cable is going to go inside here and this crimper is going to crimp it and it's not going to come off basically. And over here, this little gadget is called a cable tester, RJ45 plus RJ11. We're going to concentrate on the RJ45 called the RJ45 connectors. So this comes in two parts. What this technically does is you see the numbers over here, the color codes in here, when you put them in the right sort of format, in the right order, they pair up. So this will test if the pairs or the connections are correct. If they're not in the correct manner, these will start jumping all over the place, meaning that you haven't put the colors in the right place. But we'll show you that in a minute. This needs a square battery. These are quite cheap to buy. If you're in the UK, they retail less than £10. Again, all these tools are pretty cheap to buy. The boot, basically, this is the plastic bit that protects the actual connector. So it gives it like a nice finish and protects the end of the connector. So let's go ahead and make up a Cat5 cable. For the time being, we're going to move all this aside. What we need is our little bits over here. Okay, right. So to test on one cable, we're going to make some cuts. So these are the two sides of the cable. So what you want to do, see over here, okay, you want to make, for example, like maybe a 3-4 centimeter cut. So we're going to take this white covering off. So if you've got your wire stripper, again, your wire stripper may be different, but what we're going to do is make a cut so you expose the internal little wires. Okay, so in my hand, I'm not sure if you can see in the camera here, there's a little string here, and I'll show you what this string does, right? It's there for a purpose. But over here you'll see different pairs. You've got orange pair, you've got the green pair, brown pair, and you've got the blue pair, and you've got the string on its own. So what we want to do, the reason why the string's there, what you can do, if you see over here, I'll try to zoom into the camera, get your cutter here, and this is quite useful. So what you want to do over here is make a cut on the white bit. Try not to cut any of the cables inside, just make a little cut, tiny little cut there, you can see there. And using the string, you can pull and cut more of that cable, like that. Can you see that? Yeah. So it makes it easier, so you don't have to keep doing the twisting thing with the cable stripper. And then what you can do is with the cutter, just cut the outer covering, and with the string as well, possibly I might not need it again, take that right off. Okay, so we've got the pairs, remember, right? And these pairs serve a purpose, which we'll go into in a second. First, what we want to do is we want to straighten up these pairs. Okay, just make sure they're really straight. The aim of the game is to get them as straight as possible. What we want to do is start untwisting them. Okay, so I've untwisted them, and what you want to do is make them as straight as possible. So just run your finger, squeeze the cable, the wires, and make them straight. And you'll see why in a minute, why getting them straight is really, really important. Okay, now we're going to put this combination. So there's a special type of combination called the 568B. There are different combinations on the internet. You'll see this is the most easiest way to do it. If you just practice and keep it to that, then you won't get it wrong. Okay, and I'll put the diagram on here so you can follow it with me. So the 568B is orange and white, solid orange, green and white, solid blue, blue and white, brown and white, and brown. So what we want to do, if you look here, make your cables completely separate. Can you see that? So they're not overlapping, they're not like that, they're twisting over one another, right? So what we want to do, if you put your fingers here, right, just like that, okay, I'll show you. And then what you want to do is put them in order. So the white and orange, the orange, green and white, and then bring over the solid blue, blue and white, solid green, brown and white, and brown. Okay, now what we want to do is get them tight as possible. So you may have a couple of goes just to get them, so you can see over here I'm getting them just over my finger like that. Okay, so remember to put them in order: green, blue, blue and white, solid green, brown and white, and brown. Okay, what we want to do, this is going to be a funny description I'm going to give you. We're going to make it into like a little brush, okay, like a little paintbrush. You know, this is going to be the paintbrush. We're going to cut it short. So just remember, the key is to keep them in order. Maybe a bit fiddly in the beginning. Again, I don't usually do Ethernet cables. I've done it a few times, but once you practice it, again, practice on a small piece like this, you'll get it right. Now, the next step is get your cutter, but make sure you hold on to these cables, right? Because once you let go of this, remember the color's all going to come apart. So what we want to do is, if you see here, I want to make like a 1 centimeter size of like width of my finger, just to cut, but I want to make sure I cut this straight. Okay, imagine you're cutting someone's hair. With these side cutters though, be very careful, because these side cutters have a little bit of an angle to it. I'm not sure if you can see in the camera, but they're not straight. I do have other straight cutters. So what we're going to do, if we start cutting it like that, it's going to make a cut completely sideways, yeah, like at a bent angle. So hold your cables together and make a cut. Okay, can you see that? I'm just going to cut it there. Right, so again, make sure you hold these cables together. Okay, now you want to get your RJ45 connector, and I'm going to show you the important part. So the orange bit, right, is on the left hand side. Orange bit was on the left. This connector has got a little bit that sticks out like that, yeah, a little clip. you want to make sure the clip faces the bottom. The clip faces the bottom and the gold pins face up. Okay, so remember, clip at the bottom, orange on the left. So what we're going to do is over here, we want to put these little wires in here, in this little square bit here. Okay, again, when you push it, right, you'll see the cable just fall into place. They don't need to be like slotted into a special, anywhere special. And you just push very gently. Just hold the white cable here, the white outer here, and just give it a bit of a push like that. Okay, like that, bit of a wiggle, and it will sit in place. Now I'm not sure if you can see on the camera, but you can see the orange is gone right to the top, and it's very easy. Just push it in. You don't need to do it hard or anything like that. Yeah, just a bit of a wiggle and it sits straight in. Okay, possibly you can see it in the camera. So it looks a bit like the other cable. See it here, the one ready-made one from before? Yeah, we're going to get it the same. Now, this device over here, again, most of them do look the same. Some of them may be from the side, some of them may have a different feature. So with this particular one, it's called the Tate Tools model, CT200. Again, there's different variations. What we want to do is put the clip bit at the top over here, okay? And we're just going to slot it in as if it's going into the back of the internet box. So what we're going to do is this little bit here, squeeze it tight, squeeze it one more time. Okay, so technically what it's done, there's a little plastic bit here, it's pushed on the top there and it's held the cable right in, so it's squeezed the cable together, and that's basically one side done over here. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, the boot. Again, I'm using on a small cable, but just before you do that, just put this boot on. It doesn't degrade the cable or anything like that, but it just makes it more protective. So what I'm going to do over here is just push the cable through that. You see over here, that basically gives it a nice finish like that. Okay. As for the other side, I'll just quickly do it. Okay, so now again I'm going to give this a crimp. Okay, and I already put the boot in, ready for this side to go in. Okay. So now that the cable is made up, I'm going to show you what this device does. Okay, so this device, the cable tester, basically, as long as you've got all the colors in the right combination, this then synchronizes in the right manner. If any of the cables are in the wrong way, say for example, if your orange is in number 1 and orange is in number 4 here, those colors will match up and it'll be a little bit mishmash. So let's give this a try. There's two connectors here. Again, it can only go in one place, the wider one, the RJ45 one. And the same on this side as well. Okay, now there's two different options here. One, we can go really fast, but we want to see the colors in the right place, basically the lights in the right place. So let's go slow. So let's do this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can you see that they're both matching up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't worry about the G one, that's not of any interest to us. Okay, so they're all matching up, which I'm happy with. Now let me show you if you get a cable wrong. This cable I made earlier on looks perfectly fine when you're looking at it, but again, it could be one of the cables are not right. Okay, so let's give this a try. So can you see that automatically the numbers are not matching up? Got here 1, 2, 3, and then it jumps to 6. So somewhere there the cables are incorrect. Now the problem is, and this is my own opinion, is that somewhere along the line, over here and over here, the colors are not right. It could be that it's not touching. So when you look at the end of the cable here, can't really tell. So the best thing is just to start all over again. Now I would say for the beginners, just get a piece of cable like this and practice a few times. Okay, you may waste a couple of connectors, but sometimes what will happen, you'll run a cable and you'll, let's say for example, have a cable like this, right? And then because you've got it wrong, you're going to start cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting, and ultimately because you've got it wrong, your cable's going to be very short and you've just wasted that whole cable or the whole run basically. Yeah, so get yourself a little short cables like this and just practice it 1 or 2 or 3 times, however many you want. Yeah, and that way you're going to get it right. So again guys, if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. I do have another video that shows you how to connect for example Skybox devices into switches and routers. So ultimately that's how to terminate a Cat5 cable. Hope this video has benefited you. Keep watching, keep sharing. Until the next video, take care.